What up, guys? This is me, Brandon, from G Swaps, and hell, I know it's been a long time since I made a video. It's been like almost 3 years, but well, I've got a little bit to explain about that. I just had a kid. She's now 2 now, and she's just my world and really everything I do. But in my spare time, when I'm not working and when I'm not with her, I am building stuff like this. So this is a new engine. It's a new combo, and actually it's kind of an old school one brought back, but I've just refined it. What is a None VTEC G23? So in my last prior video of what a G23 engine was, I basically talked about how doing the H22 head swap to the F23 block. Basically the I had to make a water pipe, I had to make a water pump and plug the head. Well, in this one, the G23 None VTEC, everything is so much more simplified. It's honestly like the same combination of a JDM F22B, except for in this engine, I've got different pistons, different everything, different stroke. So technically it's not, but it's the same that Honda had given us from the factory. So let's start with how to make everything work, and then I'll tell you what's in the engine. So there is the water pipe on the G23, right? On the VTEC one, you have to make a water pipe. Well, on this engine, Honda comes with a factory water pipe that directly bolts into. You can find that water pipe on an F22A1 or A6 engine. I specify A1 because it doesn't have the oil cooler on the back. Also, the water pump, a lot of people say that you should still swap your water pump gear over, but on my engine I did some things a little bit differently, and I had a little bit of belt slap that I needed to take out. So, well, my water pump, I went with a regular F23 or F22 20 tooth water pump. Now mind you that the H23 water pump uses a 19 tooth. So they're really only one tooth different. And if you'll notice, I've got adjustable cam gears on this engine. And that was just something that I just wanted to kind of just do. But they're B series. You actually use B series adjustable cam gears whenever you're putting them to an H23. I don't know if anybody knew about that, but that's what they are. But I've ran into that this aftermarket ones are just like slight couple thousandths smaller than what the factory one is, and it's ran me into having a little bit of slack. It does not affect my engine's performance. I drive this thing, it turbos, it makes 18 pounds of boost. It's amazing vehicle. But what I found into is that I had so much slack that I could use a bigger water pump off of like the F22, which directly bolted on. I didn't have to do no modifications to make it work. That I could do the F22 water pump. It's a little bit bigger. And then I also got one of these tensioners just for the front, just because of insurance. Other than that, uses the stock F23 timing stuff. Granted, I have all my G Swaps parts on it that I make, or at least I used to make anyways. I may get back into that in the future. We'll see how life goes. But okay, so back on this G23, G23, F23 A1 block. It has an H23 P14 None VTEC head, and basically the only thing I did to the head to make it just a little bit better, there are some oil galleys. They're not even oil galleys, they're just like holes with no actual holes all the way through, and they're on the bottom of the head, and basically like they're just gaps. And it seems like to me that I was just worried that they would kind of fill up with oil, or it could cause a head gasket problem, which on the forums the only thing I found out that you had to do a head gasket wise was just take out a couple rivets where they're going to hit on the head. Not a big deal. You have to do that on the other one too as well, the VTEC one. But back on that same page, on the bottom of the head, there's these empty holes on both sides, and they don't go through or leak or anything like that, but they're there. And basically I went ahead and just put JB Weld over those and just flatten those out. And then I sent my cylinder head to get surfaced. Also, the block is surfaced as well, so the two mating surfaces are perfect. Now I have ARP F22 H23 head studs in this because they match the head height wise and everything. H22s will not work. Don't try it. I did and it didn't work. But as far as the engine block goes, it's your standard F23 build. Granted, I have balance shaft delete done to mine. This block has also been epoxied. I used Chris Boyette's off Facebook. It's who I met him through, and you know, I've known him. I bought stuff from him before in the past, but yeah, I want to give a shout out to Chris Boyette for this epoxy that he has, because it's like the strongest. He's making currently like 1400 horsepower, I believe, on a V6 S2000 rear-wheel drive. Look him up. He makes the strongest epoxy in the market, and I think even PFI Speed used it as well. Brent from PFI Speed used it on the Freedom Civic. I've seen that video. But back to my engine. It's an F23A1 block. It's epoxied. I'm running K20 Type S pistons, you know, the A2s, Z3s, you know, or Z1s, you know, basically those dome top 11-to-1 pistons. Those same pistons. And I've got a H23 cylinder head. I got a F23A1 gasket. And as far as rods go, I got with some aftermarket Eagle rods. And honestly, I don't even know if they're Eagle brand, but they look like Eagles. But they're like, on the box said Cat. That's all it said. So, and you know, it came with a part number. But more or less, they're eBay rods. eBay steel rods for the F23. They were about $280, and they are on eBay. But other than that, I put ACL race bearings in it. It's got a lightened flywheel, clutch, and pressure plate, all that put into it. Now, as far as the turbo kit, I took my filter off because I'm just doing a little checking on everything. But as far as the turbo kit goes, this is just a standard, it's a GT61. It's the same turbo as an AR50 except for its ball bearing. They're pretty cheap, under the $300 range on eBay. And like, it's a ball bearing turbo under 300 bucks. And it's a 50 series, which makes plenty of boost. Like, this thing makes, I mean, it could probably peak out at like 30 pounds easily. But honestly, like, it makes 18. I've got my wastegate springs at 18, and I'm basically, I have this boost controller here, but it's just a manual one, and I've got it set to where I can just make a bunch of boost. The motor holds the boost perfectly. It drives it through, no problems, no issues. Like, honestly, like, I don't even think that I'd ever have an issue with this engine, just the way it rotates and the way it runs. I haven't had it dynoed, but I have tuned it myself on HTS. I've been practicing and watching PFI videos, and honestly, I'm getting a little bit better at it. So, like, I'm pretty confident in tuning now, and I've done more than just my car. I got your standard Jackson or Jack Span. What is that? That's the fuel rail and also the regulator as well. It came with this whole kit, which I got Teflon lines, and I'm set up for E85, but I'm on 93 pump gas. I got one of them. Oh, also the PCV system on this engine is awesome, how I did this. So I welded these to the head. TIG weld, right? This works pretty good. And then the block also, I drilled a hole in the bottom of the block, or the back of the block anyways. And I welded another one of these bungs on the back of it to where I also have a third coming out the block, so that way there is no possibility of crankcase issues. So this motor can make like a ton of power and not have anything holding it back. eBay HKS blow off valve, but I plan to upgrade to a 50 millimeter, which I have everything, I just haven't taken anything apart yet. It's got an eBay, I guess that's the the alternator relocation kit. It's been a minute since I've made a video. And the pretty nice shiny part right here I'm looking at is a old school, I think it's OBX F22 H23 intake manifold. And like, they're almost impossible to find. Like, you just can't get them. Luckily, I was able to find one that had been sitting in the back of a car, and it was brand new, and the guy sold it to me for like $150. He's on Facebook I can't think of his name right now, but if I do, I may comment on him later in the future and give him props for that, because that's pretty cool. Man, to make this thing work with the F23, I mean, not the F23, but you have to use the H23 or F22 thermostat housing. It bolts to the side of the intake right here, so that's a must. The same as the water pipe on the F22, you need that definitely. And then to make this intake work now with this thermostat housing, I had to like plug off this hole. There's another one down there that's plugged as well. And then these ones here, this little nipple and this nipple, I didn't need those. So I just welded them shut, basically, so I don't have to worry about those. Other than that, got a thermal gasket in there, and 70mm eBay throttle body, a 3-bar map sensor. Like I said, it makes 18 pounds. I got a 4-core radiator. This is kind of like one of the coolest parts about the car, is a flip up inspection hole here, and it makes it easier to work on it with my backyard racing bumper here, which I love this bumper. Paid $250 for this bumper, and it just snaps off. It's really cool. Bam, just like that, and it pops back in place just like that. Perfect. I got a 3-core radiator, one of the really tall ones that they have on eBay for like $100. It flows pretty well, it does pretty nice. And then just your standard piping. But if I was to guess, this engine, I haven't dynoed it, but I really want to. I would say on 18 pounds, I'm pushing somewhere in the range of like at least 500, maybe to 600 horsepower. Also, I've got 880 Deca CC injectors there, which I also have Bosch 2200s as well. So one day I may go ahead and switch to those. Either that or my Integra, the original G23 car. But yeah, so this is the G23 None VTEC. Oh, I'm also running an H22 M2Y4 transmission. So it's short gears, like for H series, but man, the way this thing takes off, like longer gears, it may pull a little harder, but this thing's just so sporadically off the line, and like it just takes off, it just goes. But I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and it just looks amazing too. Plus everything was like, I didn't have to modify stuff like with the other G23. I didn't have to make a water pump or a water pipe at all either, so it kind of made it easier, and everything just fit like it was supposed to. Simplified. But all right, well, this is me, Brandon from G Swaps. Sorry it's been like 3 years since I made a video. Like I said, I've had a kid, and you know how life goes and stuff, but it didn't ever stop me from building cars. It never stopped me from building engines, and because it's kind of how I get through life. You know, you gotta work on stuff as a hobby and stuff in my free time. But this is my outro to my G23 None VTEC Turbo. So anyways, thank you guys, and Happy New Year. It's January 1st, and thank you YouTube, thank you all the subscribers and stuff that have seen my stuff in the past, and I just hope to plan, maybe this is a new year and I can get more videos on stuff I do out there for y'all. All right, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, and I'm out. G Swaps.